Hello. I'm going to actually open this book up so that you can see the front cover and the back cover at the same time. What do you notice that is unusual about this bus? I noticed that it has all kinds of paintings on it. I wonder why it's attached to the back of a tow truck and why there are so many people outside the bus. Take a look at the background. How can you tell that this story takes place in a big city? I noticed that there are a lot of buildings called skyscrapers. And it seems like there is traffic and lots of people. Those are some clues that let us know this takes place in a big city. This book is called A Bus Called Heaven. It's written by Bob Graham. What does heaven make you think of? Let's go ahead and read the story and see if that is a good name for the bus. Abandoned. The bus appeared one morning from a sea of traffic right outside Stella's house, where no bus should be. Tired, old, and sick, it had a hand-painted sign on it, held down with packing tape. The sign said, Heaven. Let's see the sign right there. The bus brought change to Stella's street. Traffic slowed where no traffic had slowed before. People stopped and talked together, just a little, but they talked. Stella changed too. She took her thumb from her mouth, where it usually lived, and said, Mommy, that old bus is as sad as a whale on a beach. Then she pushed open the door and climbed on board. There's a sign on the front that says, Abandoned. That means left behind. Does this bus look different than the bus that we saw on the cover? Let's look back at the cover. The bus on the cover has all kinds of paintings on it. This bus does not. Stella, the color of moonlight, stood among the bottles, cans, and trash. She was so pale you could almost see through her. It could be ours, she whispered. Whose? Asked Nikki, Vicky, Alex, Yasmin, and Poe. What did she say? Asked Mrs. Demetrios. Ours, she said louder. Well, whoever's it is, it needs to come off the road, said Stella's mom. And when Dad came home that afternoon, he found an old bus where the front yard used to be. "The wheels stick out onto the sidewalk," he said. "There are sure to be regulations." See how it's blocking part of the sidewalk? "Well, it's staying here," said Stella. "That's my regulation." A regulation is a rule or a law that tells how something should be done. Dad is worried that there's a city law about not blocking the sidewalk. Next morning, Stella looked out her front window. People were sitting on the wall where no one had sat before. Under the bus were Esther, Rajit, Chelsea, and Charles. "Mommy," said Stella, "I'm going out." And she joined them. That day the bus settled in. Weeds nudged up around the tires. Snails made silver trails, and a pair of sparrows nested in the old engine. It's building a nest. While the children played, the grown-ups mopped and scrubbed and polished. They're cleaning up the inside of the bus. There's the children outside playing. That night, the bus got a bit of new paint. Street rats. Looks like they're spray painting the bus. "Hello, boys," said Mom. "I've got an idea. Come back tomorrow and you can paint the whole bus. Make it sparkle." Next morning, Stella drew a picture for the rats to copy. That looks more like the bus we saw on the cover. People came with donations. Poppy brought her goldfish, Eric. Luke gave a set of super comics. Stella carried in her table soccer with the missing goalie. Mrs. Stavros brought a bus cake. Look at that cake. And all the cupcakes. And Lucy lent her dog, Bear, for anyone who needed to just sit and pat something. Wow. What do you notice is happening inside the bus? There's Stella over there playing table soccer. I see people playing checkers up here. I notice people are having a cup of tea together and talking. Somebody is reading the kids a book. Somebody's visiting the pet goldfish. Kids are playing together. People are checking out the comic books that were donated. Life returned to the old bus. Stella's fingers fluttered, and her soccer players spun. Babies crawled. People laughed. Kids fought. Granddads scratched dogs. Meetings were planned. Wanted to rent house for 4, plus 3 cats, 2 dogs. Ring Ray. Lucy, where are you? Sunny. Couples met, and the Fingles showed their vacation pictures on a projector. Oh my goodness, people are playing music up on the bus roof. Looks like there's a whole table full of snacks out there. Maybe it's a bake sale. People are hanging around together. One Saturday morning, just outside Stella's house, there was music and dancing. There were picnics and laughter when a tow truck arrived. It's against regulations, said the driver. This bus is causing an obstruction. That means it's blocking the way. He means it sticks out, Stella's dad whispered. Oh no. The bus has to go, said the driver. As the front wheels left the ground, snails dropped from under the bus and a twittering came from the old engine. This is the picture that was on the cover. Look at all those people upset by the bus being towed away. Go where? Gasps the crowd. Look. They're chasing the tow truck. Oh, now they've ended up at Joe's Wreckers with spare parts. Looks like it's at the junkyard. To the junkyard, came the reply. Wow, look at that massive amount of junk. And there's the tow truck and the bus and all the people. The crowd pleaded for their bus, but the junkyard boss came out to join the driver and shook his head. His notice says, illegal vehicle. Thou shalt not park on the sidewalk. This one's for the crusher. So Stella's dad was right to be worried about the regulations, huh? A little pink glow crept across Stella's cheek. 3 rescued snails were deep in her pocket. Excuse me, she said. Shall we play table soccer? Remember, that was Stella's contribution to the bus. That must be her favorite game. You can have the only goalie, but if I win, we'll keep the bus. Do you think that that's a reasonable offer that she's making? Do you think she'll win and they'll be able to keep the bus? Let's read and find out. And why, asked the junkyard boss, tell me why should I play you for the bus? Because, replied Stella, there are sparrows nesting in the engine. The game began. Handles spun. The ball smacked end to end. Then, goal! Stella scored. Look how the font is really big and all the letters are capital letters. That means you have to yell it with excitement. Goal! She followed that with 9 more and won. The boss put out his hand. Joe, he said. Stella, said Stella. They shook hands. Then Stella ran to the front of the bus. Come and see, she said. Chicks. Amid the frantic flapping of the parent sparrow's wings, Joe, the junkyard boss, spoke quietly. Better get your bus to somewhere safe, kid. Somewhere out of the way. I think he's beginning to realize the importance of this bus. It's so important to Stella and her family and all the neighbors and the creatures. Remember the snails too? And the sparrows. Thank you, said Stella. And the crowd cheered. Look, they're lifting her up. I know where we can take it, said Stella. While the others pushed, she and Mom sat up front to steer. Almost back to where they'd started from. And when the old bus came to rest at last, everyone else needed a rest too. Well, almost everyone. Look, they're all working together to get the bus to a new location. Look how exhausted they all are. That evening, in the vacant lot just behind Stella's house, music drifted high over the city, and the grass was danced flat round a bus called Heaven. Vacant lot. That means it was empty. Look at everybody celebrating with the bus. Now it's not against regulations. As a full moon rose, 3 snails slid safely back under the tires. And tomorrow, Stella will see the sparrow chicks fly for the first time. How would you say that Stella's community changed as a result of the bus? I noticed a lot of changes in her neighborhood. All the people came together to work on a big project that benefited all of them. It made such a great place for all of them to come together and play together and talk together. Not only the people, but the creatures that inhabited the bus, such as the sparrows and the snails. I hope you enjoyed this book. I will talk to you later.